Uh, I just have an announcement. I mean, somewhere around the 20th, 21st of this month, I'm going to take a vacation. And I'm going to probably take, I don't know, at least 5, 6, 7 days off. I've been doing this Zoom stuff now. It's been straight for an entire year, more than a year. And I need a little break. I really need it. I need a little break. So I'm going to take like 5, 6 days, 7 days and just, chill out. So I just want you to know that it'll be around the third week of this month. Okay, so please everyone, try and work very deep inside. We'll have a meditation class. And after it's over with, if anyone has questions, I will be happy to try and answer them.
Hi, Stuart. It's Paula. Love came up very strongly and differently for me in this meditation. It was so beautiful. Could you please talk about the energy of love?
It's basically what we live for. People are starving to death because they can't open inside and allow themselves to receive just that love. They can't connect with a higher force in the universe, to receive unconditional love. I mean, people, we live in a malnourished world. And a lot of the craziness that goes on because people are starving to death. They want love. It was a very great novel by a Russian writer. I'm sure you all know Dostoevsky. And he wrote a book called Crime and Punishment. And I remember years ago reading that book. And it was so clear to me that Raskolnikov, this kind of intellectual kind of person living in a garret, winds up killing this old woman. And the act of killing her was almost like him reaching out somehow to touch the world. Fighting his way out of this cave that he was living. It was really the need for love. And the only way he knew to express it was by hurting somebody. And I think most interactions of people are based upon that kind of thing. People try to communicate with each other. They want to commune with each other. They want to love each other. The problem is that they don't have the development inside them, to do the things that are essential. First of all, to get the mind quiet, get the heart open, get centered inside, being able to give unconditionally. Because if you really love, you have to give unconditionally, to receive unconditionally. All of this is like a bouillabaisse. It's like a delicious soup of energy that makes it possible for us as human beings to embrace each other, to love each other, to commune with each other. Specifically, almost always the need to have one person in our lives who we can truly love. But how does that happen if we're incapable of receiving and incapable of giving? So the whole, focus of this meditation is building a system inside that is strong enough for us to learn how to love unconditionally. God is love. How do you love other human beings if you don't like yourself? Understand that it starts there, learning how to like oneself, finding one's self-worth, finding out that we are worthy of having wonderful lives. We are really God's children living here. And the only reason we don't experience it that way is we cut ourselves off from it. We live in our little world of prejudice and a little cubicle that we create around ourselves, that we're very, picky about who enters and leaves, Instead of opening and embracing life, finding that wonderment in ourselves, that child that is buried inside us, that is dying to dance and to love and to sing, all of that is part of that expression of learning how to open inside. And love isn't some kind of superficial, I love you, I love you. You see people, I love you on television. You look in their eyes and it's just bullshit, just words. It comes from a deep place inside. You don't even have to say anything. Just the look alone will tell another person how profoundly you love them and how deeply you worked on yourself to make a place for them to live in your life. Because the key to all of this is simply learning to be a happy person. I always talk about that. Enlightened people are happy people. But how do you develop that level of living without having the capacity within yourself to be able to transform all the bullshit in the world into a spiritual life? Because ultimately, what do we all want? We want to be loved. We want to be embraced. We want to be happy. That's what people are alive for. Although you look out at the insanity of this world and you'd never believe it. I've gotten so tired of reading. I can't read the news anymore, I really don't give a shit what the hell is going on anymore. It's insane. The only preoccupation I have is with my own inner growth, my love for the people who come into my life every week, and the willingness to share that love and that years of training with the people that who really are working on themselves to develop an inner life that's strong enough to receive it. But it starts with ourselves, How do you love another human being if all day long you're just picking yourself apart? If all day long, all you have is this cringing, neurotic inner life of chaos and lack of quiet and lack of simplicity, how can you love another human being if you don't like yourself? Not possible. So you got to start at the beginning. You don't start in the middle. The beginning is really building an inner life that allows us to come to terms with our self-worth in the world, the miracle of our own lives. And this is not egotistical, because you're building an inner life that enables you then to share that with somebody else or a lot of people. So the first love we have to have is truly a love of ourselves. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way where you walk out full of all kinds of personality and charisma and, and all that bullshit. It doesn't work. I mean a quiet, simple unfolding of consciousness in ourselves, an opening of the heart, the realization of the miracle of what our life is and the time we're given here to learn how to get to God. That's the kind of love I'm talking about. And then the unconditional giving, the unconditional receiving in life, to your family, to your friends, to people, jobs, wherever you happen to be. I'm not saying this is easy to do. It's not easy to do, but it certainly is worth working for. Because it not only saves one's own life, it also helps to save the lives of many other people. It's a healing. God is love. It's a healing. We're healing ourselves. I mean, how do you really love if you're psychologically crippled, mentally crippled? Not saying people here are, but everybody has a touch of that kind of unhappiness in them. And in order for me to teach this class, there has to be room in my heart for everybody that's in it. Without predisposition, without prejudice, without who I like and who I don't like. And I don't care about that. The only thing I care about is you want to have a spiritual life. And in order for me to transmit this teaching, I have to find a place in my heart for every single person who attends these classes. Whether I like them or I don't like them, that's all nonsense. That's me. And if I have to serve me, I will never be able to serve God. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Paula, dear. Well, I just love the growth that's taken place in you in the last year. It's really very special. Don't ever take it for granted, dear. You've come a long way since day one when I met you. And, you know?
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question I'd like to ask?
You know, Stuart, before Paula mentioned love, what was coming up for me was the energy of trust, like where you can actually surrender. There's actually trust. If you could speak a little to trust, I would really love to hear what you have to say.
If you build the kind of inner life I talk about, Wendy, you'll trust even the things you don't like because they will become your teacher. It's not about what's out there, it's about what's inside yourself, the strength you have, the capacity you have to live with an open chakra system, the rootedness you have. That allows you to trust that life is there to teach you. You understand? Life is not there to just beat you up and to do all kinds of crazy things. It's there to teach you. And if you have that inner strength I'm talking about, you will trust anything that happens to you because your capacity to turn that into your teacher about what you have to do to grow, you know, is amazing. How you can do this. I mean, shouldn't say this, but I will. For years, when I used to run my gallery in New York, and every day there were all kinds of people, students. Chris can tell you about that. It was kind of an amazing place. And I always would keep at least one person around me. I would allow them into my life close. And they were very difficult for me. I literally did not like them. I didn't want them around me, but I would do that as a sign that, that person, when the time came that I can open and find a place for that person in my heart, that person was an incredible reminder of how much growth had taken place in my life. And a lot of these people I didn't trust. They would badmouth me. They would talk behind my back. I mean, it was crazy. But I didn't mind having them around me because I said, well, if I can find a place for them in my heart, what a level of growth. And I can't, you understand, I can't sit around and judge what's right or wrong with other people. I have to trust that everyone who comes into my life has something to teach me about myself and has something to teach me about how I have to work in myself to get closer to God. Then you trust. Understand? You're not picking and choosing, and because I tell you, for every 5 people that you like, there's always going to be 2 that are difficult, you know? I mean that. But those difficult people are also there to teach you something about yourself. You don't have to go looking for them. They always show up. You know? I need it. They always show up. I mean, it was like Rudy and his mother. Rudy's mother was a really difficult person. She was really difficult. She was, I mean, my God, you know, she was like a mafia mole, you know. We used to dance in nightclubs and go out with, you know, mafia people. And she was incredible. And she was tough as nails, tough, Brooklyn tough. You know what Brooklyn tough is? Tough as nails.
I grew up in Brooklyn. I know what Brooklyn tough is.
I mean, she was toity-toit and Third Avenue tough, you know? And at first it was very hard for me to be around her. But then I saw Rudy overcome the most impossible situation and shower his mother with unconditional love. And she did some pretty difficult and terrible things to him when he was younger. And she's my mother. Once told me I couldn't pay a psychiatrist $1,000 an hour to teach me more about myself than my mother teaches me in 1 second. You know, she'll always find the one thing that's wrong and complain to me about it, you know? But he showered her with love. You know, it was incredible. He just got so big because of his mother. It was an incredible lesson for me. And then ultimately when he passed on, I became such a close friend of hers, you know? I mean, when I used to go up to New York, I was the only person she would allow to sleep in Rudy's bedroom of all his students. And there was a deep love. There was a sharing. It was like a treasure. And yet when I first met her, she was impossible. She was so difficult. And she was a very great sign to me about how much I had grown in my own life. And I have to say, my own mother, the same thing, you know, it took years to get big enough in my heart to get to a place where my mother could come to these meditation classes. And that to me was one of the most extraordinary things that ever happened to me. It was the serious working out of karma, sitting in a room with my mother, sitting in a meditation class. Because most of it was impossible when I was younger. I ran away from home. I couldn't take it anymore. I just left. And then here she comes back. And she's sitting in my class. Stuart, I want to come to your meditation class. I said, oh my God. Does anyone else have a question? God is love. And what's really remarkable about that little God is love, 3 words, is that it's the thing that every single human being strives for in life. Every stupid rock and roll song is written about either falling in love, love falling apart, you know, and in many ways it's the wrong kind of love, but it's about love. You know, I wrote a book about, you know, child sex trafficking in India and Nepal, and part of it is very dark. And I said, how is this going to work? There has to be a love story. So there's beautiful love story in that book that makes the book work. God is love. It's the thing that every human being strives for. Every human being strives for and treasures and wants to have in their life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, bless you all and thank you for being here. There'll be a class tomorrow. As I told you all at the beginning, I'm going to take 5, 6, 7 days off around the 21st of this month. And I'm going to just take a vacation. I've been doing these 7 classes a week now for over a year without a break. And I just need to take a vacation. So it's going to be somewhere on the 3rd week. I'm going to be taking off. But I'll take you all with me. You'll be in my heart. Thank you for being in these classes and for treasuring this work so much. And hopefully I'll see everybody tomorrow evening. God bless you all.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Bye.
Much.